Yeah, one, two, three. It's telling me that I'm live here. Let's see. Let's see. My microphone is working. Let me see if I'm gonna get into the TV. It's going on, making some buffering. Oh, here I am. Let me see if I have sound. One, two, three. One, two, three. Let's see. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Watching on cell phone too. So, well, I have decided to record this video in English today because I was quite impressed. I believe it was on the 27th of last month that I watched this play, Good Night and Good Luck, that is on Broadway. It was televised by CNN, and I watched it on YouTube, and I was very impressed. Well, I knew who Murray was, Edward Murray. I knew MacArthur. Um, I knew most of, not all of them, of course, but most of the players on those days. Roy Cohn and the inventor, the guy that invented politically Donald J. Trump. So I wrote a text. I wrote an article. It's printed here, down here, and it's about my view of what's on the play. Not all the play, but nuances of what brought my attention mostly. What I thought it was most important to portray in the writing. So if it's in the writing, it's one thing. What I'm going to say here, it's another. Because here I am going to make an analogy, a deep analogy about what's going on in the world in relation to that period. So I'm going to start with one word that was very common, very used in those days, and is still do today. Even after the end of the Soviet Union in 1991, 89, 91, it's communism. Communism, which is like a four-letter word for religious people. It's a terrible word. It's a monstrous word. That's how it is used, how it was used then, and it is used today. Even if there's no more communism. Communism is an ideology, which I have. I am a communist, but I'm an ideologue. I'm not a practical communist because there are no places for me to be a practical communist. Otherwise, I would be there. I would abandon everything here and would go there because I believe firmly that we all should be living in equality, in a very, very society that would privilege equality instead of disparity. We have lived in a Mariana Trench of economical dispersion, distance, difference. We have lived in an abyss of what a small group of 0.01% of people can do, and 99.9% of 99.99% of people can do when they can do. This is outrageous. This is outrageous because it became even worse than was on those days of good night and good luck. America was a society that was building a structure of comfort, not for everybody, I must say, but for a significant part of the population. The blacks were still have no rights. They were not citizens. Most of them couldn't vote. So it was not an equal society, but it was a better than what it is today. And it is today the way it is for a simple reason. History have written itself with a vengeance, with a lot of anger, because everything that happened then, it's happening today with different words. Today, migrants are a bigger problem than in America, than communism, not in Brazil. In Brazil, it's the opposite. Communism is still a problem, but migrants are just treated like they don't exist. Not in America. Now there's mass deportation. And I'm going to say one thing here. I was reading an article that said that the Hispanics are felt betrayed by Trump. Listen, when those idiots didn't heard the words mass deportation, build that wall, they are rapists. They're bad hombres. They eating our puppies. It was a specific event about the Haitians, but it applies to everyone. There is a migrant. And now we have a football bullshit in there that makes those people that are being expelled from there, thrown in jail before, massively go in there spending their money. It's so stupid because people continue to be stupid, idiots in their great majority. We had a writer in Brazil, Nelson Rodrigues, that used to say the idiots are going to win the war, not because of their deeds, but because of the numbers. And that's what it is. So on that time, you had the Ron Conge. I wrote about him. I'm not gonna. He was responsible in a great part for the death of Ethel Rosenberg and many other people, suicides. That there was a lot of people that killed themselves. So watch the play. I recommend you to watch the play, and you will see what I'm talking about. I doubt it that people that have emotions will not gonna understand emotionally what it was to live on those days, on the witch hunt, which is the same as today, that I feel here when I'm insulted on the internet, when I get threatening emails, when I'm ignored even, when I have when I'm blocked from participating from chats, when I have my writings deleted. So it is the same thing, the same witch hunt, because I prove what I am saying, like Mr. Burroughs used to do. You pay attention to the final dialogue that he reads alone. He starts the play with a dialogue on the beginning, and he ends with a dialogue. Pay attention in both. Pay attention in both. The whole play is excellent. It's excellent. It has to be awarded in many, many, many ways. Because it's something that reveals the quality of a text, of a written play. and how it's interpreted by the actors that personify those that were living on that reality at that time. So today we have the repetition of history. I must say that 200 times because it is true. It's a tragic comedy, what we have. We have an imbecile, an idiot, a scumbag as president of the most powerful nation, nuclear nation in the world, the New Rome. This guy have access to the football with all the codes and all the gadgets to launch nuclear strikes. That idiot. Recently, we had a meeting of NATO in Holland, and you could see all those puppies, those European puppies, behind the bone or the big chunk of meat. There is Donald Trump. Even the Queen of the Netherlands, Maxima, beautiful woman, an Argentinian born, married to the king, and she was dazzling with her beautiful gown and blah 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 blah. And in Gaza, Israel is killing more than 100 people a day, every day. The Ukraine, where NATO is involved on, it's killing people every day. The Russia is dying people there every day and killing people every day. Ukraine is doing the same. Gaza is a genocide like it was before with the Nazis. The Holland had their citizens gassed. And nobody's taking that shit seriously. Nobody. It seems like that it's an amusement park. It's Neverland where nobody grows. Everybody stays young and happy and joyful while the world around them is crumbling down. It's coming down as in an avalanche, carrying everything on their way. Anne Frank was killed by the Nazis in Holland, and the Queen of the Dutch is acting like if she was floating on air near those scumbags, among them Donald J. Trump. In Brazil, we have the same. Last Sunday, the genocidal that killed more than 700,000 people during the COVID was making a speech that put together a bunch of people that followed him like dogs. They say 12,000. I don't know. I don't give a shit. I don't pay my time. I don't waste my time on watching what those people do. I read about it, and then I figure out this is surreal. This is like a bad acid trip. It's like a trumpet tea. Trumpet is a plant that is very bad. Go research. It's a yellow, like a trumpet, really like a trumpet. That's why the name is trumpet. It's a yellow plant. It's a yellow flower that people used to make tea out of it. And most of the people that took that tea never came back. They're still tripping to today. So it's like a very bad trip while we're living here. But because of two things: the greed of the scumbags and the credulous stupidity of the majority of populations. I was very, very impressed with this play. And I was even more impressed to have it on YouTube on while the play it's on Broadway right now. People are paying hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to watch that play. And I watch it here for free. twice. Today I watch it again in the morning before I prepare. I wrote that text now between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning. I hope it's good. Well, I'm sure it is because I did wrote it. So the things that I make a point out of it is this thing history repeats itself for a very simple reason. The genius learn with other people's mistakes. The intelligent people learn with their own mistakes. But the idiots never learn. It doesn't matter how many times it happened in their lifetime. They never learn. That's why it's so important that we cannot forget. Listen, Mr. Murrow was not a leftist. He was not a socialist. He was not a communist. But he was a journalist, a professional, ethical journalist. He was a man that prevailed, that made the truth prevail over sponsors, over audience, over anything that was not the truth, which is the motto, the perpetual motto of this channel is written right there on the top of it. Here you have the truth. And I won't give you anything else but the truth. And that's why I decided to record this video today. I know that it's not going to be watched by many people, but there's one person in special that I'm sure that she's going to watch it. Hi, Carol. Love you. Thanks for helping me with the book. And it is very important that I make myself again very clear of my positions, of my understanding of things that are happening, the way they are happening. We today in Brazil, in Italy, we have this structure. Italy, I'm going to tell you something about Italy. We have a congresswoman that is a scumbag, a right-wing scumbag. She was condemned to 10 years in jail, and they didn't took her passport or anything, and she left. She ran away. She's in Italy now. She's not going to be expelled to come to Brazil and fulfill her sentence because of the government in Italy. It's a neo-fascist government. The prime minister of Italy, it's a fascist woman. So the thing is, you have all those people that destroy Brazil, that they are in process of destroying the United States. Here I speak about plutonymy and nobody listens. I have no idea why. Because it's a big description, because it's obvious. Those are systems in Europe, in the United States, in Brazil, all over the world. Those are systems that are built for the rich, to protect the rich, to make the rich richer and impugned and with a lot of power. It's the triad that they look for: money, power, and impunity. So as I watched this play today, I felt like I had an obligation to record this video. I had a moral and ethical imposition to come here and put the truth as it is. We are repeating history in near the same time span, because you had Mussolini ascending in Europe in 1922, but he started in 1918 with his first newspaper. So we had in Brazil in 2018 the election of Bolso Nazista, Bolso Genocidal, Bolso Fascist. We had a process very similar in 1923 Hitler was presented to Germany. In 1933, he was elected chancellor he was not elected. He was appointed by Hindenburg. He was not elected. But his party made such a big number of seats on the parliament that he was raised by Hindenburg to be Chancellor of Germany. An Austrian, a lunatic. So, as history keeps repeating itself as it is, we'll see the consequences. We had a gas chamber being used in Brazil in 2019 when two policemen put a guy, because he was not wearing a helmet and riding a motorcycle, they put him on the back of their vehicle, the police vehicle, and throw a bomb of gas and close the door and kill the guy in there. They made their car, their police car, into a gas chamber. And it's not just that. That is happening all the time, everywhere. Everywhere. The most basic of all human rights have been just thrown on the garbage. One of those rights, human rights, is the right of the truth. Because as supposedly Winston Churchill say, in the war, the first victim is the truth. And that's what is happening. That's what it is. Right now, repeating itself as with McCarthyism, as it has been for years with the United States. That is the truth. That is the truth. McCarthy disappeared in 1957, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a year before I was born. He died. But he was discredited within his own Congress. He was accused of being a philanderer, of being a liar, of being a manipulator. Like Trump it is. Like Ron Cohn was. Like all those politicians that we have in Brazil and in the United States, in Hungary, in Italy, in all the countries that are giving chance to suicide. Because that's what it is. When you go yourself and carry your entire country to this no return trail that takes to fascism, that takes to Nazism, that's what happened. Genocide, death. That's what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. So, yeah, almost 25 minutes. I'll thank people that watch, and I recommend you, really, truly, to watch the play. I got the direction here, the whatever the name of it, on this video, on the bottom of it in blue, so you can watch the play. I strongly recommend, because it's a piece of history that again prove that history repeats itself. And it does repeat itself because people don't learn. Idiots don't learn. And idiots are the majority of the human species. So they end up doing the same thing again, repeating their errors, expecting different outcomes, which doesn't happen in any way, form, or circumstance. Okay, so it is a matter of people understanding what is going on. I wrote a little something here because I don't want to forget to talk about that. Good that I remember. What Trump is doing now is repeating history. You want an example? Kent State, when the National Guard killed students. Now the National Guard is killing protesters. So this people do again and again and again and again because of impunity, because nothing happens to them. So I wish you people think about Kent State when you see the National Guard and the Marines attacking their own people, because there are names for this kind of action. When a military of one country attacks their own citizens, it's called a coup d'état. It's called a civil war. It's called Brazil. And there's another name that I forgot, but I think those three exemplify exactly what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. Civil war, coup d'etat, and Brazil. That's good enough. That's a good explanation for when the military attack their own people and kill their own people. Okay, thanks. Good night and good luck, because we really need it.